Phones crashed last week. That was exciting. It wasn't just in the United States. I have tons of friends all over the world, save our allies. We have people working in some pretty conflict areas right now. And the thing that we knew was going to happen happened, which was comms crashed. Within the military, we do very specific things to make sure that we are prepared to communicate regardless of kind of what happens in the world. Even in complete denied areas, we still have what we call a PACE plan, a primary, alternate, contingent, and emergency plan. Here's some real normal stuff. With me is our director from Sheepdog Response, Matt. Special Forces Sergeant Major, has spent his whole entire career really being an expert on the infill portion, like going into really denied, non-permissive areas. And these are things that he's very familiar with, but these are over-the-counter, accessible to absolutely everybody. Some of these things you could never get your hands on back in the day.
Yeah.
And we were paying a couple $100s an hour to use them. But now here we are in 2024. We just had an outage in the United States. And it's an election year, and I'm going to tell you it's going to get more wild. So let's dive into some of this stuff.
Yeah, basically, if you don't understand just how dependent we are on cell networks and how vulnerable those networks are, because every one of them is out and exposed, anybody can do damage to them at any time. And on top of that, don't understand that this smorgasbord of other communication equipment is available to you. Now's the time to get smart. You need to start looking at these things because they're more attainable than they've ever been. They're easy to use, and now they're getting up to smartphone quality. And all I need is line of sight with the sky, and I can talk, and I don't need a cell network to do it. Especially if you're traveling internationally, I highly recommend you get into this realm and know a little bit about this. It just takes a little bit of knowledge, and you're gonna be safe, your family, you're gonna have reliable communications, some of which have an SOS capability on it, which means I get in trouble, I just hit that button, and I know somebody's coming to help.
Yeah. The CONUS, continental United States, or outside of the continental United States, I have different travel comms packages depending on where I'm going and what I'm doing. Just like my EDC, there are things that I have with me all the time. Obviously, I have my cell phone with me. I was just in Utah, just teaching a course with Mike Glover, playing around, doing some like boot scooting business of fighting. And with me, I literally had that in Utah, right? I had two different redundant separate satellite systems with my phone. Here, when I'm even home in the office, we have things in place where like a PACE plan. And then when I travel abroad, I bring a variety of things to truly have that primary, alternate, contingent, and emergency. Another thing that I have with me are Faraday bags. I have a bunch of different sizes, and you see that a lot of these things will fit in the smallest of the Faraday bags, and they stay in my bag, in the Faraday bag while I'm traveling. So thankfully, whether that was a cyber attack or as a solar flare, we're not gonna get like too conspiratorial.
I will.
Yeah, yeah. So whatever that was that your phone didn't work last week, that was a very, very small, tiny, regionally select area and group of people whose phones didn't work.
Yeah, and really, frankly, it doesn't matter whether you think it was nefarious or not. The point is you're gonna have to be able to react to it for whatever reason when it goes down, because I don't know if you remember back in the day, somebody did some nasty work on a cell network in Tennessee, drove up and blew it up and shut it down. It didn't even damage the building, it just shut down for precautionary. People were without cell service. And when you think about how much you rely on cell service, you should be looking at this. They have Faradays. Most people are familiar with Faraday when it comes to protecting the goods in my wallet and your credit cards from getting scanned. But you don't think about it much when it comes to this mobile computer that has much of your information on it and how I'd want to protect it, especially when you're traveling internationally. You'd be surprised how smart these guys are.
So I'm gonna give an example of my overseas. I'm going to be bouncing. I give Matt my PACE plan. My primary is going to be my cell phone. He's going to get, hey, my cell phone number with my kind of encrypted chat is going to be the primary. You don't get to, on that same system, have any further ones under that same. So if my cell is my primary, that means I can't use another cell for alternate, contingent, or emergency. I have to move to a different thing. So in the military, that might go from cell or radio, and cell is gonna be the emergency. But when I'm traveling, here's my primary. Alternate is going to be this Iridium. Contingent is going to be my Proton email. That will be backed up by a Wi-Fi puck that is a satellite puck. That will come in a couple of different forms and a couple of different options, and those all fit into this other category. Sometimes that is going to be like a Gotenna or a literally just like a Motorola radio that I'm able to, and there's some great radios out there right now that you can create a hive of communication between everybody that has one of those radios. So my line of sight from one radio to another radio, that radio to the next radio, instead of just being line of sight, I'm now 10 people. I've expanded this ability to communicate and this field that I'm able to communicate within an app within my phone directly to the team just off of a line of sight FM. I'll also have like backup burner phones that are super cheap, that have minutes on them. It's separate, it's in a waterproof bag. Yes, that goes in a Faraday bag too. And that isn't even going to it. And then I get kind of weird with the emergency. Sometimes that might be like, if I'm in Africa and we're staying at a specific hotel, it might be a marker on a building. It might be like smoke or a signal mirror. You think I'm crazy, but like you'll do something very outside of tech that's very dependable, where if I need to get hold of him, like a freaking bird carrying a note. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but very...
We're not.
Yeah, or maybe not. Like a mark on a mailbox, or literally mail as some forms. Or during the sunrise, you're going to see a specific thing in this communication window on this day, and if it's not there, things are bad. If it is there, things are fine.
And just like with any of these things, you're creating contingency plans. So you're not just relying on one thing. You're not bottlenecked in one direction. You got other plans. And then the next step is important, is you share that plan with the important people in your network so they understand. It's not enough to have the plan. The people within your network who are going to be watching out for your well-being, they need to know the plan. You select who you share it with, and then you deny it to everybody else. That way the right people know the plan, and they know. And so if he's gonna leave a marker for an emergency and all other things have failed, that person is gonna be the one person who knows to look for that marker. And when they see it, they're gonna identify it positively as Tim needs help, this is where he's headed. And that's easy. Once you share a plan, once you create a plan, it's great. Once you share it, that's when it becomes magic. That's the idea, is come up with a good plan, one that everybody can understand, share it with the people you love, and if something goes wrong, it's easy to get recovered.
So within cell phone, obviously you have like iMessage, you have WhatsApp. Then there's a bunch of different encrypted ones. Telegram, Signal. There's a dozen now that all are kind of similar. There's ones that I prefer, but ultimately it's ones that you and the people that you need to communicate are on. One of the key components about communication is that the recipient has to understand the message that you're sending. That means that they have to have the ability to access and understand what you're trying to say. So make sure that the recipient of that communication is like, great, I have a satellite phone. Wow, that's fancy. Unless I can call from my satellite phone to the person that I'm trying to get a hold of on their cell phone, and I've made that test call, this is all but useless, right? So let's talk about some of the stuff that we have out here. You're got the Iridium, I have a Zaleo, and I have some Garmin's. I'm a big fan of the inReach. This is a Wi-Fi puck. From this, I can land navigate in two different apps. There's the Garmin Message app and the Garmin Explore app. With the Garmin Explore app, I can do all the navigation that I can do on here in my phone using this as the satellite, as my GPS, and as my Wi-Fi. I can also message from my app to anyone from my phone using this as the Wi-Fi puck. If I don't want to have these two things, I have this that can do all the things that this can do, but then I don't need my phone to be able to navigate. So I can do all of the navigation, I can do all of the measurement, I can drop all my breadcrumbs, my markers, my finds, I can preset all of the data and download the maps onto this device, and then I can take this with me everywhere. Both of these have emergency SOS on them. Both of them I can do the message app from here, so I can still send messages from this and from that to Matt. So this is extraordinarily powerful and very useful, and I keep these with me depending on where I'm going. This phone, big fan.
Yeah, for Iridium phone, we've used them many times. It's one of the most tried and true satellite phones. There's a couple other on the market. Thuraya and Iridium are the couple of big names. Used to be incredibly expensive to have something like this, like literally hundreds of dollars a minute to use this. That's come way down. It's literally less than $1 a minute to use it. It equates to what you would pay for a normal cell service. So it's very accessible to the normal person. You can get short plans that work for just short durations if you're overseas and stuff. You don't have to get roped into a big long plan. You're like, hey, I'm going for a month overseas. I pay for a month plan and I'm covered for that. This particular one has an antenna. If I walk outside and got line of sight to the sky, I can talk. It also has an alternate puck, which is just one I can slap on the top of the car, run the line inside, and I can talk. And they actually have repeaters that you can have inside your building. So you can run an entire satellite phone network from inside buildings that punches out to the outside and works great. And that type of infrastructure used to be unattainable for the average guy. Those days are gone. The beautiful thing about these is most of these things that you see now used to be what we would consider high tech. Now, you can literally get these things at Costco.
You can buy this on Amazon. This right here, it's like $115. Yeah. This is $25.
You get it at Dick's, Costco. I've seen them everywhere. And the beautiful thing about it is, like, I use these inReach when we were in Montana. I was in Bozeman. We were up in the hills, and we were texting in the hills. No cell network to be found. Not a building in sight, but we could text back and forth. I've used them hunting to text other guys in deer stands and talk crap while I'm hunting. It works great for that. And so the beauty of it is I can get the system and I can practice with it here in the States because that's what you have to do. It's worthless without the training. I get it. I train here with my family and so they understand. And now they understand. And then as soon as a communication comes from this number and my wife sees that on her phone, that's an immediate sign like, hey, he's gone from primary to alternate. He's on alternate. Don't skip that call. Whatever you're doing, drop it, answer that call because there'd only be one reason I'd be contacting her there. And so again, that goes back to communication. But all this is very attainable now. And the beauty is it's all well within reach and you can practice with it here. And then the day that you need it, everybody in your family is well versed and they know exactly how to use it.
There's not some, I get it, budgets are tight. You know, it's a rough year financially for a lot of people. You know, security and stability for my family are things that I'm not gonna ever, if I'm gonna be spending money, like I'm gonna have a couple fewer cappuccinos from some bougie coffee shop and to set up a plan, and they're really cheap.
Yep.
Garmin, for their inReach, they have a free plan that allows you to have, I think it's like 20 or 30 messages in a year for free.
Yep.
You are texting for free via satellite. All you do is you get the little inReach, which is cheap, then you download the apps, which are free, and you're able to text in case of emergency.
No network needed.
Nothing. Then you can like set up to like their basic plan, which is crazy cheap, very similar to like a cell phone. Same thing with Zaleo. This is a Wi-Fi puck that enables my phone to work just like it's connected to a regular Wi-Fi, and this is for satellite. So however you're gonna set your P.A.C.E plan up, you need to do it. Sheepdog Response's mission is to be able to preserve and protect human life. They say with a power outage and lack of communication, 90% of Americans will die in a year.
Yeah, I believe it.
And communication and power are central to that. Our gas pumps don't work without those two things, power and cellular network.
That's right.
You know, you get into a shopping center and you think that you're gonna buy any groceries off any of those things that they flip over and tell you to like leave a tip when you're, none of those things
Every
are gonna
point
work.
of sale system is running off a cell network, yeah.
It's gonna crash. And I highly recommend that you, like, I don't work for any of these people. I'm just showing you what we do, whether we're hunting, true story, me, Andy Stump, Evan Hafer, Mike Glover, Denver, we were in backcountry in Moab doing some overland stuff, and a route that had been pre-planned and looked via satellite, weather had come in and there had been a landslide and it changed the route, and we got 12 hours into this canyon and we're stuck. We literally had to turn around, drive back out 12 hours. Then we had a flat. Then we had a transmission pan puncture and we lost a vehicle. We were like Navy SEAL, Green Beret, a couple CIA dudes, all packed together in these two different vehicles that we have to cross-load into one vehicle, take all sensitive items. We're doing all of our communication off of this because there was nothing that was going in and out. Those are some of the raddest dudes on the planet that were limited to one of these, each ironically not coordinated, but all of us had our own. And communication was never a problem, letting everybody know where we were, what was going on, what the problem was, and what the plan was. So stay safe, stay free, build your own pace plan, however that is.
Yeah, get smart, get your hands on this stuff. It's great stuff. And the cream rises to the top. The reason it's so reliable, the reason that these guys use it, the reason all those rad dudes use it is because they know it works. We know it works. We're here showing you so that you understand. Get smart and then don't get caught behind the curve when that network goes down.
That's it.